What? The evil Bacterian has returned, spawning its vile children across the galaxy and threatening the culture of Gradius that we know and love? Better send in just one ship! Throughout the history of gaming, there has always been a demand and love for side-scrolling shooters in space, and Gradius III delivers on both those fronts. A port of the 1989 Japanese arcade game released by Konami under a similar name, Gradius III is about fighting against all odds, customizable weapons, flying in space, and oddly cheerful music? Well, we should be happy that at least the music is encouraging, because to top this all off, the game delivers one of the most difficult adventures in the Gradius series, so we'll need all the help we can get. Before we take a look at the game in more detail, I do need to give out a quick disclaimer. Gradius III has been released several times over the past quarter of a century, and with it, plot, lore, and names have changed with each release. As far as we're concerned though, I will be sticking with the SNES game's original story just to keep things simpler for the both of us. Okay, so somewhere in space there is this planet called Gradius that is being threatened by a malignant creature called Bacterian. Known as the god of destruction, Bacterian spreads across space like a germ, infesting planets and spawning fleets of destructive creatures and machines. You, as the nameless protagonist, have set out in your Modulated Artillery Exalter, or MAX, ship to stop him. But I need weapons to fight a god, I hear you cry out. Don't worry, you've got weapons. You've got your normal gun, back double, front double, tail gun, vertical gun. Then you've got your regular laser, energy laser, cyclone laser, ripple laser, and the almighty twin laser. Backed, of course, by photon torpedoes, small spread bomb, regular spread bomb, double front missile, double back missile, hawkwind missile, and just your regular old missile. Oh wait, did you think we were done? No! You've also got your regular option, more different regular option, formation option, rotator option, suck out your lives to give you an equivalent amount of option, as well as force fields, reduce shield, rolling shield, and plain old shield, all topped off by the full barrier ability, mega crush ability, and the speed up and speed down ability. It's pretty obvious that there are a lot of weapon types in this game, and even though you can't take them all with you at once, you can customize which ones you want on the selection screen, allowing you to pick the strategy that you think is the best. There are 10 levels in this game, with a variable number of bosses and sub-bosses thrown into each one. The levels themselves are rather straightforward. Some have you digging through rocks, others flying through solar fires, and who can forget Moe Head in space! For the most part though, you'll fly through a lot of empty space and straight corridors that aren't bad, but are a bit unimpressive. The real selling point of the game though are the bosses. For a game with 10 levels, there are over 10 bosses, with a sprinkling of sub-bosses for the space exploring enthusiast. Some bosses are big, other bosses are, well, bigger. Konami spared no expense in the way of size when it came to taking down these giants, and to me, watching a boss explode after an extremely intense 30-second span of frantic concentration is the best reward this game has to offer. There's even a level where after a brief fight against the Zub Rush, you do nothing but fight bosses. 5 of them! It's awesome! If I had to pick a favorite, while the Dellinger Core was really close with its massive wingspan and insane amount of lasers, I think the simple Crystal Core, unfortunately called Icy Icy in America, was my favorite. I really like seeing the parts of the machine encased in crystal, and the somber music that plays when you fight it really sets it apart for me. But then of course there's the Covered Core. I just can't resist mentioning a boss that shoots dozens of missiles all over the place. Once you fight your way through all 10 levels and have amassed the correct amount of blood, sweat, and tears, you come face to face with Bacterian himself. The Big Bad. The head honcho. Wait, he's dead already? Well, if you were expecting a big boss fight at the end of this game, you might want to find a different one. Bacterian, god of destruction, harbinger of darkness to the Gradius people, is the easiest boss in the game. The funny thing is, this is intentional. I actually didn't understand that was the case when I first beat the game, but when I found out, that it made a lot of sense to me. Bacterian is merely the creator of all these things that you fight through the entire game, but he has no actual power himself. Some have said that the level that you encounter Bacterian in could be considered Bacterian itself, since everything seems to be connected to him in a biotic manner, but that still doesn't stop his core from being hilariously easy. This fight would eventually become like an underground joke that would be shared among Gradius fans, and it would even be parodied in other games afterwards. Bacterian aside, the rest of Gradius III is not easy. Upon its arcade release, the game was so hard that Konami even had to pull the machines out of the arcades for fear of the negative impact it was having on the public. Even though when the game was released for the SNES, the difficulty was lowered, it is still a rather hard game. Even with shields, fireball helpers, and weapons upgraded to the max, one wrong move and you can die in the blink of an eye, starting out at the last checkpoint with 0 power-ups, which creates one of the most negative aspects of this game. With a bit of effort early on, you'll find yourself cruising around, fully powered up, and completely dominating the opposition, until one wrong twitch of the D-pad, or one stray laser that you didn't judge correctly hits you, and blam! You're back to square one, and getting back to the top is hard. Initially, your ship starts off so ridiculously slow that playing the game is virtually impossible unless you spend your first couple power-ups on speed boosts. But by spending them on speed, you no longer have any points to spend on even the most basic of weapons, and you can get crushed by any ships. I'm glad that the game punishes death. It makes the whole of Gradius an intense and exciting space adventure, but it just punishes death a little too hard, which can lead to some rather unpleasant emotions when you find yourself on a losing streak. Once you get past the steep learning curve though, the game is a lot of fun, and you should be able to play through it without too much trouble. And once you feel that you've mastered normal mode, you can try the game on hard mode as well. There's even a hidden arcade mode difficulty that can be accessed by mashing the A button a bunch of times on the menu screen. While arcade mode isn't an accurate representation of the actual arcade experience, it does boost the difficulty by quite a bit, with faster enemies that shoot more often, among other hazards. Your reward for beating arcade mode? Well, besides the ending cutscene playing out slightly differently, you get a special message from the game team that I'll play for you in just a second. So at the end of it all, Gradius does succeed in delivering a side-scrolling, action-packed arcade experience right in the comfort of your own home. While I'm not sure if I received more frustration or enjoyment out of it at times, looking back I can say that I will remember the boss battles fondly. So remember, Space Cadets, keep those hands washed, because you never know when the next Bacterian will strike, and then you'll have to jump into your max spaceship to fight it off. So this has been Chezni, thinking that the Vic Viper is a way cooler name than Modulated Artillery Exalter, signing off.